So again, my name's Scott Moore. I'll give a little history behind the framework, show you what you're going to get with the framework, and kind of how it all came to be. So this all kind of started in 2010 when I've been in IT for many years, about 15, 17 years now, and I always wanted to start my own business, and I was always attracted to the software as a service model. The real advantage of the software as a service model that it has over other types of IT products is it's a recurring revenue stream. The problem with creating let's say you've created software for lawn care companies or whatever, is if you sell it as a once, you sell it once, maybe you'll sell upgrades, but they don't necessarily have to buy those upgrades. So you're constantly having to sell to new clients. But if you develop a software as a service revenue stream where every month they just pay you, $30, $40 a month, it doesn't take a lot of clients to get to the point where you have a nice little revenue stream coming in every month, whether or not you actually make improvements to the software or not. So it's a great way to just build a nice, either a really big business if that's your goal, or just kind of what a lot of people in the industry call a lifestyle business, where you basically make $12,000. Let's say you make $12,000 a month, and you spend $3,000 to $4,000 to run it and pay for advertising and to keep the lights on, and then you have a nice little income, and that's basically a great. And they call it a lifestyle because it gives you time to do what you really want, or keep working on the business and stuff. So it's an attractive model, and one I think everyone should consider whether or not you're going to use the framework. So that's what I was looking to do, and so I came to Alpha, and because I didn't have a lot of developer resources and I didn't want to raise money from investors, Alpha was a great tool because it allowed me to build so much so quickly and build these really amazing products that it was a natural fit. So at the time, Alpha, had a lot of great products for the web, but not a framework for software as a service. So I had to kind of build all that for my first product, which is called PetSickClick, which is software for dog walkers and pet sitters. Which sometimes I tell people that it sounds a little hokey, but actually a lot of these companies are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, some of them millions, because remember, every day is a dog walk, $15 a dog, and some of these dog walkers do group walks, and they have hundreds of walkers, these companies. So the revenue stream for some of these companies is quite incredible. So feel free to check out PetSickClick.com to see kind of an early version of the framework. So then a couple years later, I was speaking with Richard and talking about how Alpha is great for building SaaS applications, and I mentioned the idea for the framework, and he said, well, let's kind of get together and we'll create a product to get you started building a software as a service. And then David Cates came who's got really in-depth knowledge of Alpha, and he took kind of my rough framework and created a really nice polished version, and you'll hear from him a bit later. So let's go right to the framework. What is the framework? When you're building a software as a service application, there's some universal concepts and technologies that are going to apply to that most people, when they're signing up for a SaaS as a client, are going to expect. And those are things like a free trial, user management, separating the data between your various companies. Obviously, you don't want company A to see the data for company B. And then there's password resets and all that type of stuff. So if you go to like Salesforce.com, or even like Gmail is a software as a service, everyone's kind of familiar with the basic tenets of how it works. So there's no point in everyone reinventing the wheel every single time you start a new software as a service, and that's the idea of the framework. It took me 6 months to initially design and build it, and then it's also been enhanced and tweaked over the years as I've built other products with it. So it's a proven technology, so it's been through the ringer enough to kind of work out all the kinks. So again, the idea with the framework is to give you all of the components needed to build a software as a service, and plus the theoretical knowledge behind it, because it's not just, and I'll get into the specifics, but it's not just the specifics of the component, it's how to design your application to work within it. We have designed it around a multi-tenant database model, which is a concept used heavily in the SaaS market, because you don't really want to spin off a new database for every new client, because then that takes away your scalability, because every time a new client signs up, you've got to create a new database. The multi-tenant model is you have a single database, And all the tables have intermingled data from all of your different clients, but they're separated by a company ID variable. And Salesforce.com, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, operates on that model. So there's two parts of the framework. There's the actual technology you get with the framework, and the second part is how to actually build your application, and that's the documentation we provide with it. And then actually, as an added bonus, with ZebraHost over the years, we've basically worked out all the kinks on how to host a SaaS application. Because when I first started, it was like, well, how do we scale it? How do we set up the load balancer? Where do we put the SSL certificate? So all of that's been figured out. So really, with the SaaS framework, you're not just getting the technology, but how to actually get to the point where your first client signs up for the free trial. The best kind of example, I think, sometimes is a real-world example. So the latest project that I've built is something called DwellPoint. For anyone on the call, please feel free to check out DwellPoint, create a free trial to get a sense of how the framework works, because it's all built on the framework. So let's go through right now, and I'll show you. So, for example, with the framework, you're going to have standard login pages. So you'll notice you can change your password. If you forgot your password, we have a password email recovery tool. So all of that comes with the framework, and again, that's all pretty standard with software as a service. The framework also comes with a sign-up page. So you can customize this sign-up page as needed. For example, in this case, we just have name, email address. So there's a sign-up form with the framework. So I would put Kelly Smith, Kelly at yahoo.com 123. I'm just going to make something up here. Password and password. So you then agree to terms of policy and service, and then you click Start Trial. So when you click the Start Trial button, what's happening behind the scenes is the framework is creating all of the entries in the tables needed to maintain this new account. So all the code has been written to set up this person with a user ID, to set up the initial variables that they're this company. And we also, again, another very standard tenet of a SaaS framework is we've now sent you an email to confirm your email address. So again, this is all with the framework and is very standard with a SaaS application. Now, one thing I do want to point out, of course, is I've put my own skin, I guess you could say, on top of the framework. So the dwell point, all of this has been, tailored for my needs, and you would tailor this, of course, for your needs. In this case, I'm using a Bootstrap template, which again is a great way to get started quickly because you can apply it to the framework, and now you've got this incredible-looking website if you're not a designer. And those are some of the tips we can help out with as well. So let's go back to the login page. So now I'm just going to log in as a pre-existing account. And you'll notice here that the framework is now checking the free trial status. In this case, the free trial is ongoing for this particular account. In this case, I tweaked it a bit to be an unlimited free trial for one client. You can tweak it to be, the standard framework is like 15-day free trial kind of idea. But you can tweak the framework as needed. And then I'm going to continue with the free trial. And again, this is all the framework working behind the scenes. And now I've arrived at the main application page for DwellPoint. And again, the framework will direct your login clients to this page. And from here, basically, you can build whatever your application does. Other parts of the framework that are included within the actual login space are the ability to set up employees of that particular company with a login. So in the framework, it's very common if I built a framework for, let's say, a lawn care company, that they would want their crews to have access to the software. In this case, it's other realtors. Realtors work in teams, so they would want to add a new team member. So I'll just add one here. So demo webinar. I'm going to submit that. Dave, is the screen refreshing okay?
Yes, it sure is.
Okay, great. So if I come into the demo, this new person, I can then create a login for them, and so forth. So with the framework, it's not just creating the account, the main company account for the software as a service, there's sub-accounts that can be set up as well, and we've built this all into the framework. So if you're building an application for, I don't know, steel plant, let's say, you know, you would then be able to set it up so that that steel plant could add all its workers as well. So it's all built into the design, and the nice part is too is for those, you know, quote unquote steel workers, you can also decide what security they'll have to the site. So it's you could say, okay, they can only go to these pages, because it's a common thing where an accountant at that company should only see accounting pages, and you know, a marketing person should only see the marketing pages of the framework. So the framework includes the ability to add sub-users within the app, within a particular account, and also what parts of the site they can see. Now, another really neat thing about the framework, and this is something that that it took a while to figure out, but I think is a really value add to the framework, is let's imagine, let's go back to the example of a lawn care company. So the lawn care company signs up. You've built a software as a service for lawn care companies. So a lawn care company called Joe's Lawn Care signs up. So they're going to want to, first of all, add their crews, which we just talked about. But they're also going to say, well, you know, I like my clients to be able to log in and book services online. So as part of the framework, we've also designed in a client portal so that the clients of Joe's Lawn Care can log in and book a service. And again, it all has to be set up in a way that the clients are only booking services for Joe's Lawn Care and no one else. So all that's been built in. So back to the dwell point example, I can come here to a particular client of this realtor, of Laura Owens, the realtor, and I can go to Chris Matthews and set up a login for Chris Matthews. So when Chris can log into the client section of Laura's real estate software, I'm going to show you that now. So I'm just going to go to dwellpoint.com, and I'm going to log in now as a client. And so I'm going to put Carmela Yahoos. Now remember, this is a client of the realtor now logging in. So I'm going to put in the password. Okay. Now you'll notice, of course, that Carmela has been redirected to the client portion of the software. So she's not going to the main site to look at Laura's data. Of course, Laura wouldn't want her to see that. So Carmela is now in her particular customized client portal for the realtor. So, and now she can look at, for example, home search and tasks, stuff like that. And notice that this has been customized for Laura, which is Acme Real Estate. It doesn't show dwell point. So the framework allows you to allow, you know, back to the lawn care example, for Joe's Lawn Care to actually customize the page his clients see when they log in to show Joe's branding and stuff like that. So the framework is really flexible in terms of how you know, navigate people into the site and where they go. But it offers you a lot of power to build multi-levels of access, not just the main account, but sub-users such as workers, and then below that even clients, and it's all, again, hosted in the same database. And so this is all part of the framework. In this particular case, for dwell point, I've made some customizations for my particular needs, and the framework allows that. Whether you do it or you can, you know, David Cates can be hired as a consultant to help you do that. But the code is there for you to change and tweak as needed. And David's also built some really cool tools where you can just, instead of writing code, you can just change page names and point it to where you need it to go, and so forth. So, you know, and again, I encourage anyone to go to dwellpoint, create a free trial to see how it all works, you know, on your own. So that's kind of an overview of the framework in an actual real-life example. Hopefully I kind of gave a flavor for how it works. Dave, do you think there's anything you'd like me to add? Or?
I think that's great. We have questions. Now would be a good time to ask them. So here's a question from Bruce, who asks, how extensive are the customizations made to the framework to create dwell point?
Yeah. In terms of the customization, I'd say they're pretty minor. The one customization was I wanted to go from a 15-day free trial to a you know, unlimited trial for one client. I think it just fits this business model better. And then the other customization is for the client login, they can log in on the main dwell point site. But with the framework, we actually give them a specific client portal page login so that Joe's Trucking can actually link it to their website and have like a branded login page for Joe's Trucking, which is probably even better than dwell point. I just didn't go that way because I figured it'd be easy for realtors just to point them to dwell point versus their own particular login page. So in terms of the customization, there's not been much. The framework's pretty much there. But what is customized, of course, is the look of it. So what the framework really comes kind of as a very, it's literally just A5W pages that says you've arrived at the main page. So it's up to you, of course, to add in all your own menus and everything like that. But I do want to add that if when I log into DwellPoint, this is all, again, a Bootstrap template. So this template here, all this menu, and it's really, I think it's pretty nice looking. I bought it for $15 on Wrap Bootstrap, and then I just simply added it as CSS to my A5W page. So I really want to clarify that the framework, will arrive at all the pages, but they're going to be a blank page that says you've arrived at the main page, kind of thing. But from there to actually add menus and stuff, it's very simple to add a Bootstrap template and get a really great looking site. So by combining the framework with some Wrap Bootstrap templates, and there's some little tricks to it. I don't want to say it's not, but in a couple days you can literally have this kind of look and feel ready to go.
Excellent. Niket, is there something you'd like to add?
Okay, excellent. So I'm just going to address a few simple, frequently asked questions, just in case this question has popped up on any of your minds. So the first thing is that the SASS framework is a separate purchase from the developer's license and the application server. It bolts right into the developer's license, and everything you can do with your developer's copy of Alpha Anywhere is in fact part of the framework. So the framework is a separate purchase. It's a one-time purchase. It's not on a subscription basis. You can look at the other pricing info under the Buy Now button on the SASS website, which is again sas.alphasoftware.com. If you have further technical questions and if you need mentorship and technical support, you can contact David Cates at any time. He'll be happy to help you out. And that's about it. That's
great.
That.
We have another question here and actually that's why I'm muting you, Niket, as you're adding a little bit of echo, so I'm just going to put you on hold there. So the question actually is two questions. One is, can you see who is logged in to the system at any time? And also, can you lock out users?
Yes, the framework comes with a login table, so you can track who's logging in at any time. And also, as part of the framework, there's 3 statuses that a company can be in, and this is maintained in the company table that comes with the framework. There's paid, free trial, and issue. If you set that particular account to issue, when they log in, they're redirected to an issue page that says, there's an issue with you, whatever you want to put there. Again, it's up to you to customize the actual page they land on, but in a nutshell, it says there's an issue and you can't log in. So we put three statuses, and that's how you would lock a user out. Now, if they've already logged in, and again, we have a table that tracks every login, but if they've already logged in and you need to get them out right away, then you would set their status to issue, and then you just have to restart all your servers to bounce them out of the site. But I mean, that would be kind of an emergency if, I don't know, I can't imagine a scenario that bad happening. But long term, you just lock them out, and the next time they try and log in, they just get the issue statement.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Let me see if there are any other questions. Can you give a demo of that capability, or can you show off the framework for that matter? And I guess that question would be to David as well.
Yeah, I think the only thing is, the only problem is I can't go in and actually show you the thing because it's live data, so I'd actually be showing you real people's
Oh,
data.
okay.
So but it's really just it's literally just a field.
Hmm.
Um, it's really just a field on the table that you can switch from paid or free trial to issue. And the framework, when it actually logs the person in, will check the status of that company.
Great. Here we have another, I think, excellent question here is, can you show us how the payment thing works? The payment subscription, can you do monthly, quarterly, annually, or is this done through a separate shopping cart sort of thing?
Okay, well that's actually a really good question. So I think right now we can I use PayPal has a process called recurring payments, where they handle all the monthly billing for you, and so it's nice because they run the charges every month and stuff like that. So I built with my frameworks with Petsaclick, you can check it out. The ability through a shopping cart to set this framework up, this recurring payment thing up, and then from then on, PayPal handles it. And I've made it and put it, kind of built it in such a way that's automated. Um, and so I was at a bit of a disadvantage because I'm in Canada, so a lot of the payment providers don't work with Canadian companies, so it was tricky for me to set up. But basically, in a nutshell, we have I can show anyone who's using the framework a very simple way to get your payments up and running through PayPal. The client signs up online, and then through a shopping cart, a third-party shopping cart, and then basically PayPal handles your monthly payments for you, and then you just cancel it on the PayPal side when you need to. Now, a bit longer term, I know that Alpha's going to be doing some great integrations with WorldPay, and I think what you'll see is that the framework will be integrated into WorldPay. But right now, there isn't a official payment integration with the framework, but I can show anyone who wants to use the framework a very simple way to get your payments integrated with PayPal. And they have, again, a really nice recurring payment tool that they'll do all the monthly charging for you once you actually set up the profile, and I can show you how you do that.
And because they handle the recurring payments and it's a separate shopping cart, you don't have any of the PCI compliance issues, which can be a real hassle to deal with,
Exactly.
from experience here.
One thing I've realized too through PayPal is, a lot of times charges will fail on credit cards because there's been a warning in terms of like there's been a credit fraud thing put on it because someone stole their Visa or the thing expires and all this type of stuff. And PayPal will handle that for you. So if you store the credit cards on your site and try and run them every month, you've got to run through everyone's cards. You've got to deal with all the error codes coming back and stuff like that. And the nice thing is PayPal deals with all that for you. I mean, you still have to track down the client, but at least PayPal's got all the software built to handle cards failing, all that kind of stuff. So if you're just starting out, it's a great way to kind of offload some of the work onto PayPal versus having to do all that yourself.
Excellent. We have another question here, and this is from Bruce, who asks, every app that he does requires multi-tenant with separate tenant portals and then unique user portals under each tenant, just like your DwellPoint app. Is that design pattern actually built into the framework, or do we have to figure out where to customize for that kind of functionality?
The current framework is built such that the main account holder and the employees of that account holder would all log in through whatever site you built. So let's say let's go back to our lawn care example. So the owner of the business, Joe's Lawn Care, and his crew members would all be directed to go to the Lawn Care SaaS app website, and you wouldn't have a separate login for the crew members, let's say. The idea behind that is that, well, usually Joe would just say, I'm using this software to his crew members. You can go to this site and log in. That's where you're supposed to log in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'll find that it's a pretty common, like if you look at all the field service softwares, it's a pretty common tenet that the crew members just know to go to, Salesforce.com to log in. But for the actual clients of Joe, he doesn't want to tell his clients to go to this lawn care software they've never heard of. He wants to have a link on his website to have them go to Joe's Lawn Care login page. And the framework does have individual login pages for the clients of whoever's using, of the businesses using the software as a service. That being said, it wouldn't be very hard to customize the framework to build a customized employee login page as well. So but that doesn't come with the framework.
Okay. I think that's about it. There's certainly some comments here about people who would love to actually see something about the framework, other than the login. I don't know if you have anything else to
I think
demo,
David could
but
show you the actual pages and stuff.
that would be great. David, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Great. I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter.
All right.
And while David sets up, I'll also mention that if you download the Getting Started Kit from the SASS website, it comes with the documentation, which gives you a very clear idea of the framework. And the documentation also has a few screenshots of some of the pages.
That's great. Niket, could you take us a tour on a little tour of sas.alphasoftware.com after David Cates is done?
Absolutely.
Great.
Sure.
Can you see my screen?
I sure can.
So you're looking at the SASS Jumpstart framework setup?
Yep.
All right. So what I've done is I've taken Scott's excellent framework, and I've just kind of wrapped a number of items around it so that a user of this framework doesn't have to necessarily get into the code and change anything if they want to start using this exactly the way it is. So what the framework code does is, in the code, when it gets to a point that it has to talk to the user, it runs a page, or it runs an email, or it runs, well, that's pretty much it. It'll just run a page or fire off an email. So I set up a number of options in here so that you can enter your own email SMTP information, your email accounts, and the email message that comes out, and a pointer to your SASS website as well. Now, as far as the landing pages are concerned, you can run an email test and a free trial test, and that runs through the process of actually confirming that you're getting the emails that you should be getting when a sign-up goes through. Now, as far as the landing pages are concerned, these are the pages that by default you'd need to create with these names. Now, you can call them anything you really want, because in the code I've named them something generic, and I'm going after a specific name within this table that I've created. So you can name the pages anything you want in here, but these are the generic names.
And just to clarify, David, those pages do come with the framework.
These pages do come with the framework, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, and if I just jump into the Alpha Software site here, these are the pages. These are some of the pages that you'll actually get. Now, again, they're pages that we built for this demo purpose, and for the framework demo purpose. So they would generally be not very useful to you because they're just a demo page. But what you're seeing here is, we hope you're enjoying the free trial, 15 days remaining. That stuff, that is a component, and you get that component, and then you'd place that component inside your own page. Same thing with thank you for registering, and a number of other items. Start your free 30-day trial. You'd get that component because that's an alpha component. So you would take that component, which comes with the framework, and you would insert that into your own page.
So, David, these are custom components then, is that correct? That you've created, in other words, you'd find them right in the... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I guess the terminology is a little bit specific. It's not a custom component, it's a UX component.
It's a UX component, okay,
yes,
wonderful.
It is. All these things are UX components and
okay.
pages. There's nothing, I don't think there are any custom components in here.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I pop back in here, so we get these landing pages, again, come with the framework, and you just create your own A5W page, and you take the code from ours and you put it into yours. The SASS problem landing pages, access denied and issues, free trial landing pages. So this is where you can change the trial period for days, and the currency that you want to deal with, and the date format that you want to deal with. And biz confirm, that's the confirmation page after you sign up. And then the portal landing pages, regular main and mobile main. There's a mobile page that you can create as well. This is the customer portal page that Scott was just recently talking about. And I think that's about it. Now, one other aspect that Scott was talking about, can you see my my Navicat screen now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. So the payment status is something that that Scott was talking about, and here you can see I've got a free trial going on and a paid account going on. So this is the part in the table itself that you could go in and actually adjust this manually to move somebody. If somebody phones up and or emails you and say, you know, I've been trying your free trial for 30 days, but I'd like another month, you can get in here and change their expired status, which I don't have, to a free trial status again, and then reset the dates in here. So that would extend their free trial if you wanted to. So that sort of thing would just be handled manually.
Great. So a question sort of back to the multi-tenant issue, and someone writes in, look, in his version of the Joe's lawn care example, Joe would be one of the admins, and his employees would be the users, but he'd want to have his customers have separate portals. Would it be possible to set up in a scheme like that? Would be a lot of rework, or any guesses?
Well, actually, that's exactly how the framework's designed, exactly like that, and all that comes
Oh,
with it.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right.
it's a good question, yeah, and basically the framework comes with the whole idea of multi logins, and it handles all of that from you logging in from you know, Joe's lawn care to his employees logging in to his clients logging in, and it's all built into the framework. So it's multi-level, and it handles all of that. So actually, if I can share my screen again.
Sure.
I've brought up some stuff here. I can show you.
Hang on. I will make you the presenter.
Yeah.
Okay. You should see a dialog box there.
Yep. Okay. So can you see my screen again?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so this kind of gives you a sense. People have been asking to see the framework, and basically what the framework comes with is a large, you know, all these A5W pages, and these are all the different pages that help to build the framework. So you can see that these A5W pages, if you bought it, would come with the framework, and then, well, I was, you know, where I was saying you would then go from there. So, for example, on regular main, which is where they land for the main login, you can see it's very basic. Create a new admin user, review your admin users, your customers. So again, this is where you add in all of your application that you're going to build. And then we have things like login check, and this is the page that when people log in, you know, I'm just going to quickly scroll, but there's all this code that's going behind the scenes saying, okay, is this a client? Is this a worker? Are they going to a mobile site? You know, so it does all the redirects, and this is where you can tailor it as needed. And then finally, at the bottom, we have all the web components that make it up that David was mentioning, like the free trial dialog, the sign-up process, password recovery, creating users, creating a customer, and stuff like that. So all of that, all the dialogues and grids and pages come with it. What also comes with it is the database design that you need to support all of this. So to support the framework, you have to have certain tables. So you can either start with these tables and add your tables to it, or just add them to your current database design. But we also explain and give sample tables of how you have to actually structure your tables to build the multi-tenant model. So for example, here's that company info table we were talking about, but here's a customer table, which is reflective of you know, what you would need, and the basic things you need are a company ID, and that's how you filter that particular table when people are running queries. You know, Joe's running queries for his lawn care company, and we explain how to filter all your dialogues to work with these values. So with the framework, you get all the basic tables. Like you can see, we've got the alpha security tables that are all built as part of the framework and stuff like that. So hopefully that gives you, you know, a more of a concrete example of what's coming with the framework. And then
Great.
David has, you know, again, wrapped this in his really cool functions to actually, so you don't need to actually go in here, and you can just copy the page, give it a new name, and then change the layout, that thing that David built.
Great. I've noticed that you're using MySQL in the background. Is that a requirement for this application?
No, I mean, we give you a sample
I give you
MySQL
the
database,
schema. Okay, yep.
a schema, yeah. But it
Mhm.
can be anything. It could be SQL, whatever you prefer.
Okay, great. Niket, I was wondering if you could take us on just a little tour of the SAAS.alphasoftware.com site. I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter.
Sure.
Great.
All right.
And
Can you see my screen?
yes, I can.
Excellent. So what we're looking at now is the homepage of the SaaS website. And it gives you a fair idea of Alpha Anywhere and the SaaS framework. But where I'd like to point you to is one of the pages that David Cates already took us through. And that's the page that talks about specific SaaS features. You can take a look at the demo screenshots, and if you'd like to get the documentation, at the bottom of every page on the SaaS website, you'll see this page. You'll see this section that says sign up for your free getting started kit.
Mhm.
Now this contains a 30-day free trial to Alpha Anywhere if you don't have the Alpha Anywhere developer's license already. But more importantly, it has pretty good comprehensive documentation on the framework, which I'll also show you next. And it has case studies, including Scott Moore's story on how he built PetSitClick. And then it has information on 2 other SaaS businesses built using the same framework. So you'll see that. And on the documentation, just get it to open. The documentation covers most of the stuff that Scott and David spoke to us about today. And it also has additional screenshots that you saw from David's screen.
Okay.
So you can go through all of this. And other resources on the SaaS website include, so we get a lot of requests.
Uh-oh, Niket, I believe your audio just dropped out for a
Sure.
second. If you could just repeat what you said for the last 3 or 4 seconds, that would be great.
Sure.
You get requests for.
Okay. So I'm going to go back under additional resources, and we get requests from people asking us if we can build a mobile prototype around their concept, around their product. And we are very happy to do so. You can click on this page and get to the request form where you can request us, you can just submit a project request and we'll get back to you about that. More likely, it's going to be David and myself who reach out to you and answer your questions about a prototype. We are very happy to take on those projects for you. And the good thing about that is David is also extremely familiar, as you can see, with the SaaS framework. And if you'd like to transition that prototype to a full SaaS product, you can use this initial prototyping phase to figure out whether you like to get the SaaS framework or not.
Excellent.
So this is all covered under the SaaS website. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. Happy to help always.
So we do have another question. Probably this one is for Scott. And he asks, Bruce asks, can you give a ballpark breakdown of percentages of effort spent on the XBasic coding versus the JavaScript and the CSS, etc.?
For dwell point specifically, or just in general for?
I guess both would be.
Okay, well, in terms of the framework itself, there's actually no JavaScript whatsoever. Again, because we deliver the framework with UX components and A5W pages, and then on top of that, you add your own CSS and stuff like that. But if you look at something like dwell point, the front page is a Bootstrap template, and the inside page is again a wrap Bootstrap template. So I would say just getting, tweaking them and actually just getting them to work was like a couple days worth of work. And then in terms of the framework, in terms of building it, I mean, there's not a ton of XBasic, but what really took a long time to figure out was how to make 3 levels of access work, meaning the main person who's using it, Joe's lawn care, his employees, plus his clients, giving everyone the appropriate access, and how to make sure no one was seeing anyone else's data. So I would say that the most complex part of the framework was figuring out how to make it all work together, so no one's seeing anyone else's data and everyone's going in the right spot. And you have multiple companies all on one database, but then multiple sub-levels in that level. So that was really kind of the Gordian knot I had to kind of solve.
Excellent.
And let me just add that because all these pages, I mean, a lot of this code, and I think this is the issue that a lot of people have in trying to see what's going on with the framework, is that all of this code is running in the background. So it's all XBasic because it's all accessing security from alpha. Every single page you hit, it's got to run through the security for alpha. So there's no JavaScript that's going to do that for you. It's all going to be XBasic on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
And the only, as Scott said, there's no JavaScript in this because the pages, effectively for the demo, the pages aren't really doing anything. You're not really doing anything with these pages. It's the back end XBasic framework that's doing all the work for you to make sure you can see the page in the first place. And then whatever business you're running, you're going to build a page using Wrap Bootstrap or whatever other technique. And Wrap Bootstrap stuff is just brilliant because it's responsive and there's just some great stuff that's in there. That's where you'd be using JavaScript yourself in order to build whatever business you're working with. So there's a real distinction there between what is the SASS framework, and a lot of people think, well, I can't see it. Well, you really can't see the SASS framework. You can see its effect, because you get to log in and see particular pages that you've been approved for, but other than that, there's no JavaScript on the front end running.
Got it. Just a quick pricing question, and they're just wondering if the price is a true one-time fee, or is it a price per deployment for the SASS framework?
As we've written it right now, it's a one-time fee per application. So the idea behind the framework, when we came up with the pricing, we thought, well, okay, most people building a software as a service, it's a big project. So if you built the next Salesforce.com, and I hope you do, you would only pay the price once. But then if you wanted to launch a new software as a service product, then you would buy another license. So it's per product. But within that product, if you had 1,000 servers running, you wouldn't pay any more, and
right,
no matter how big it grew.
You can scale up as big as you want, and it won't affect the price of the framework.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. I have a question here asking if you would consider adding some automation to use Bootstrap for the whole site. Just a suggestion from a user here.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I've got my Bootstrap menu took me a couple days to build, but if someone really wants to buy the framework and wants to use the menu that I set up for Dwell Point, if that person wanted to buy a license, because you do have to buy a license, I think it's $18 to buy the Bootstrap template that's been built. I'll give you mine. I don't care. It's fine.
All right. Great. Excellent.
I think once you spend a day going through the process of actually integrating an alpha, let's say UX component, into a Wrap Bootstrap template, you'll get it, and then it's just a matter of copying those techniques from page to page.
Great.
Yeah, it's an amazing, because if you go to the Wrap Bootstrap page, you can get all these amazing menu interfaces, and then you just strip out some of the stuff, obviously, because Alpha's going to provide the UXs and the dialogues and the grids, so you don't need to worry about that part of the framework. But a lot of these frameworks have really cool menu navigation and stuff, and you can strip out the stuff you don't need, because obviously you're not going to be integrating with Ruby and stuff, and then plop in the grids, and then you've got this great-looking menu, which is basically what I did. But I'd be happy to give away what I did if you buy the license for it. For $18, and basically you'll have this nice menu. So if you want to go to Dwell Point and create a free trial and log in, the menu on the left, I'd be happy to give it to anyone.
Excellent.
And again, the Wrap Bootstrap stuff, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So there was a question. There are actually quite a lot of interest about Bootstrap, and there was interest also at our developers conference where we did have a presentation on using Bootstrap. But we don't currently have a guide for using Bootstrap. Now, the video presentation of using Bootstrap with Alpha Anywhere that we took at the conference will be posted. It's not up yet at alphasoftware.com/CONF2014, CONF short for conference. That page is up now, and we do have some of the sessions that are recorded, and the Bootstrap one will make it up there. And I think that this probably warrants its own separate webinars just talking about Bootstrap and Alpha Anywhere, because there does seem to be quite a lot of interest in it.
It's amazing. It's amazing what you can build. Like the slickest looking websites in a matter of hours. It's incredible.
Yeah,
and then
without $12 to $30.
And then because Alpha, you can build such powerful actual application. Because remember, Bootstrap's just the wrap, right? It's just the look, right?
Right.
But you can then build such these powerful applications with Alpha. It's amazing. It's really mind blowing.
Scott, in the last. Sorry, go ahead. I was about to ask in the last. I said go ahead, and I talked over you. Please go ahead this time for real.
Now, Wrap Bootstrap does involve, because they're front-end pages, it's jQuery and JavaScript, and there are some changes you need to make to that. But again, Alpha gives you all the tools to make that stuff really painless now. It was a tiny bit painful prior to about 2 months ago, but now there's some amazing tools in there just to change whatever you need to in their files that Wrap Bootstrap gives you to work seamlessly with Alpha. Just great stuff.
Excellent. Well, we are going to wrap up for now. If you have additional questions, if you could send them to guides@alphasoftware.com or to Niket, Niket, @alphasoftware.com. We would be happy to get them answered. And I'd like to thank everyone who participated today, and we hope to see you at a future webinar. Take care, and goodbye.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.